Our theme this year is claiming higher ground. And today I want to talk about that idea. And first, I want to discuss it from like an individual perspective. And then I want to explore how we claim higher ground as a community and see if we could apply some of the things that we learn here to the wider world. Because what I know is the whole world needs to be moving to higher ground. So earlier in the service, I read The Prayer of Love by Ernest Holmes, but I want to start my lesson with another writing by him about the power of love. And it's not on a slide because it's a little bit long, but here's what Ernest Holmes said. He said, "I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I meet. I believe that love is returned to me from every person I meet. I trust the guidance of love because I believe it is the power of good in the universe." Ernest Holmes. And to work on our annual theme, to kind of work that in, love takes us up to higher ground. Up the staircase of life is greater love, and down the staircase is greater fear. So if we want to heal and rise up, love is the ticket. So one of the most impactful things I have learned about love in my years of studying and learning about such thing is the work on the 5 love languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. And I want to let you know that I've personally used that knowledge of the 5 love languages in my relationships, and I will continue to encourage all of you to pursue that path in any connection you have. But today, I want to talk about using Chapman's awareness more generally in life, outside of relationships, because you could argue that every aspect of life depends on relationships, couldn't you? Everything is dependent on relationships. And my hypothesis is that if we learn to speak our love languages more fluidly in all areas of living, we're going to go up the staircase and claim higher ground more easily. And I think any situation, any issue, anything that needs healing, all of those problems could be improved with utilizing the wisdom of the love languages. Let's see if I can kind of unpack this idea for us this morning. So first, as you're going through this lesson today, identify the staircase you want to climb. You know, the problem you want to solve, the situation that you want to improve in your life. And just for the lesson, I'm going to take the example of wanting a better job. This was something that came up in Q&A, I think it was last week. So raise your hand if you ever in your life, if not now, you can relate to the idea of wanting a better or a different job. Oh, good. So we've all been through it or are going through it. So you want a better job. But this would apply to a different living situation or more peace of mind about something, improved health, whatever it is. Be thinking as we talk about using these 5 love languages around the idea of desiring a better job, but they would apply to anything. So the first love language is about quality time. So if you want to apply this love language around getting a job, let's look at how you are spending your time right now in relationship to this aspect of a job. So it's human nature to be in a lot of fear energy when our jobs aren't quite right or non-existent. There's a lot of fear around that. You can relate to that. We tend to spend time at our current job that isn't satisfying in less than positive ways, don't we? Right? We grumble about unfulfilling work that we have to do. We waste hours in distraction or avoidance. I can remember when I was a supervisor, the employees who weren't kind of making it on my team, they would often call in sick or take longer breaks or waste time in coworkers' offices, you know, just kind of sliding downhill. And I've done a lot of coaching with people looking for better work, and they're unsure as to how to spend their time in effective ways. Does that sound all familiar, right? I think the magic around this love language of quality time is to be very intentional about how you are spending your time as it relates to whatever issue that you're working on. Look at any hour of your day that is spent on anything related to work or your issue, and see if you can eliminate distracting behaviors, because distracting yourself is about avoiding fear. See if you can identify the skills that you joyfully bring to your work and amplify your application of any hour with those skills. Identify the coworkers you do appreciate and lean into those people as you give hours to your work. And if you're job hunting, celebrate every application that you submit and take the time to daydream about what that job would be like if you landed it. In other words, in small ways, improve the quality of your whatever time that you are spending on the issue that you're in relationship with. Do you get it? And can you see how this improving quality time could work with any other issue, like perhaps your health or a financial struggle or a living situation? Time is a resource we either spend wisely to our betterment or unconsciously to our detriment. So is your time spent in hours of joy, anticipation, and love, or worry, anxiety, and fear? Let's move on to the next love language and touch on it. The second love language is affirming words, all right? This one's pretty easy to see clearly, but not so easy to change directions with, because most of the time when we are bogged down in something unsatisfactory, that is all we can talk about. Am I right? So when it's related to work, there are usually some folks who are also unhappy, and they are so willing to kind of kvetch with you about whatever it is that's bothering you. It's one of the most socially acceptable things, this topic of conversation, to talk about work condition, these supervisors, these company issues, all that stuff. And if you're unemployed and looking for work, everyone is willing to commiserate with you about how hard it is to find better work. But whatever we're thinking comes out of our mouth. So this really one starts with looking back at what you're thinking about. So using this love language is about stepping up and focusing on whatever you think and say that rises your vibration instead of lowering it. And sometimes that means going back in your mind to your motivation behind why you even went into this career field in the first place. Why did you take the job in the first place? Talk about what you love about being in your profession as a whole and what you've learned. Focus on the blessings that this path has offered you, the skills and the talents that you've grown. Use your words to ask for what you need or to share the higher vision you have for your work. Here's another trick. Speak to the people who can actually make things change instead of just complaining to those that are at your level and can't make anything better. Affirm your value and worth to yourself and others. The bottom line is words carry powerful and creative energy with them. So speak only good things about the issue that you're wanting to solve. Words either carry you up the staircase or down. The third love language is touch. Touch. It's easy to see how touch could help in a relationship with another person, but what about all the other areas of life, the improvements that we desire? Think of all the things you touch in one day. Your hands, your body is all over everything, but how intentional is your touch? And could you be more intentional if you want to improve this issue at hand? Do the things, the people, and the situations that you touch improve, or do they decline? It's a way to be mindful about that. If we go back to our work situation, what do you touch in your realm of employment? Do you touch a computer, fabrics, merchandise, tools, other things? What do you touch? And if I were going to be up-leveling my work world, I would spend some time focusing on being mindful with my touch. Do I put things back in order when I touch them, or do I leave them in disarray? Does my touch improve the situation or not? And if not, why am I touching it? Does my touch demonstrate my highest ability, or am I being sloppy and unintentional? Another question to ask is, are my hands clean in this situation? And if not, how do I clean them up? Touch is an important aspect of every part of life. We touch our bodies and other people's bodies, our food, our money, nature itself, our clothing, our possessions, pretty much everything we interact with. Let's make sure our touch is one of love and not fear, because we're either going up or we are descending. The fourth love language is about acts of service. The only way we go up the staircase of life is to serve others, especially when we're talking about work and creativity. The universe is designed as an expression of unity and connection, and the more we honor our place in that unity and connection on the web of life, the more it supports us. Helping others is the only way we rise. So if you're dissatisfied at work, look for ways to serve and help others more. Share your knowledge and your gifts to the betterment of others. Refuse to compete and instead choose to collaborate. Notice how someone else is struggling and offer your skills to help. If you aren't working at all and are looking for work, find an organization and volunteer and give your service to a greater cause. It's how the web of life works. Look at your average day and calculate how many hours are spent in service of others and intentionally raise that number. The final love language is gifts. How do you shower the problem you are trying to uplevel with gifts? Here's the thing, if you're not happy with an area of your life, chances are you've cut off the flow of energy flowing into it altogether, or you're flooding it with fear or negative energy. Make the decision to give gifts in the middle of that, and that disrupts the pattern in a big way. Back to the work thing, now is the time to take donuts to the staff meeting. Now is the perfect time to cover for your coworker when they are in a crisis. Now is the time to give that customer to someone else and help their stats go up selfishly. Now is the time to pass an interesting job posting to a friend you know would be perfect for it, even if you're going to apply for it yourself. In all of these little and big ways, you infuse loving energy into the issue. Gifts are good for anything you want to improve. If you want to climb the staircase of your life, figure out how to give your gifts surrounding that particular situation. Here's the thing about love languages. Chapman figured out that these 5 big ways to get love energy moving in relationships, but they move love energy in anything in life. To solve anything, we have to move from fear to love. And if we can find the deepest desire within us and look to it with the light of awareness, and we can find big courage to get the love flowing around that desire, things begin to move. And why is that? It's because the truth of spirit is love. God is love. So when we start moving God energy around a thing, creativity starts to rapidly increase. Kind of love's like a fertilizer in the garden of life. It really is. And as human beings, we only have a few powerful ways to engage with life, and Chapman spelled those out brilliantly. We get to choose how we spend our resources, our life energy, and we send that energy through these 5 channels. How we spend our time, how we touch with our bodies, what we think and say, how we help others, and what do we give. Now let me clarify one thing. You might be thinking, Laine, I'm not afraid. What I'm feeling isn't fear. Remember in our book study that we're doing right this minute, fear shows up in a lot of different ways. Fear shows up as anger, as worry, as judgment, as selfishness, as shame, as loneliness, as uncertainty. And when I hear all of those words, I can see where so many of them show up in my descriptions of the most troubling times of my life, or in the most troubling areas of life. So we're smart to take another look at our relationships with fear and love. And my hope today is that each of us will kind of use these insights to continue to claim higher ground as individuals. But what about as a community? You know, we're in the middle of a big community focus. I promised I would talk about using the love languages as a community to have a bigger impact on the world. So here at CSLTB, I pray that you find your preferred love language being spoken. You know, I invite you to commit to speaking love fluidly around here and with each other. Let our time together be quality time. Let's show up fully in our conversations and in the things that we do kind of side by side. Let's try to make eye contact and learn each other's names so that we can feel seen and appreciated when our time is spent together. And then take that practice out into our lives. Let's continue to affirm each other with our thoughts and words. Find a way to appreciate each other verbally. I love it when I hear that going on in the morning. Oh, I love your dress. Oh, I love it. There's all this positive words flying around. It takes this willingness to be vulnerable to give and receive affirming words, but I think it's so worth it here and out on the streets. And some people find touch to be invaluable. What I know is that there are people here amongst us for whom this is the only place they get hugs throughout the week. And if you don't want to be hugged, that's perfectly acceptable. Just stick your hand out right away, because we're kind of huggers. We just kind of grab you. But we tend to be a hugging bunch. But if in doubt, you can always ask, are you a hugger? Or would you appreciate a hug this morning? Spoiler alert, I love hugs. Y'all just come hug me. You don't have to ask. And here in community, we consciously serve each other in intentional ways wherever we can. Many of us volunteer on a team or bring hospitality food or serve in some way, and some just kind of hop into service around the greater Tampa Bay community. You know, when we do that, people sign up to do that. We just know that acts of service are one of the ways that we run spiritual love energy. And finally, gifts. We are the most generous community. It is our culture, and what a beautiful thing it is that we have here. We all give what we have with an understanding that when we keep that kind of flow open, more flows in to bless us, and it keeps moving in that circle of reciprocity. It's the law, and we benefit from it individually and collectively. So what we do as a community is our practice for how we show up to make a difference in the universe, in the world around us. No matter what situation you are facing, add love to it. Replace any fear with some form of love. And since I gave a lot of words for fear, let me close with how love shows up. Love is kindness. It is generosity. It is helpfulness and compassion. It's grace. It's non-judgment. It's joy. It's self-confidence. It's honesty. It's equality, affection, inclusion, cooperation, peacefulness, and so, so many more beautiful things. May we speak love fluently in all aspects of our life as we continue to claim higher ground, learn the 5 love languages, and speak them fluently. Will you pray with me? I invite you to know this with me this morning. Know with me that love is really all there is. That as God is the center of this universe, this is a universe of love. And when we align our human choices and actions with that loving truth within us, life just shows up better. And so I know for each one present that love shows up and flows in their lives fluidly, abundantly, and it is a life-changing force for all. I am so grateful for each one present. I let it go, I let it be, and so it is.